You may remember last year we talked to Michaela Donnelly about doing the same thing. This is her sister, Alexa. Thanks for taking some time here. Holy smokes, what an accomplishment getting into the Boston Marathon. I do want to ask about that in just a sec, but to start out, let's talk about how you got there. If you could just give me a little bit of background of your history in the sport of running and ultimately what got you to the Boston Marathon.
Yeah, that's a great question. Super fun and loaded. It wasn't necessarily something that I had dreamed about doing for super long. Just kind of fell into running after I had kids and was kind of looking just for something to keep me in shape. I was a basketball player growing up, and that gets harder and harder to do after people have children to find enough women to play pickup basketball games. So running was just something that I could do around the time that, I had my kids, that was flexible and on my own time. And I love to do it to be able to get outside. And so I always kind of have ran my whole life, but started picking it up a lot more seriously just in like the last 9 years, and had a really good friend that would meet me. And so I loved team sports, and so quickly wanted to turn running kind of into something similar. Obviously, you have to do it on your own, but it has become such a incredible experience with friends around here. And so about 2.5 years ago, got a running coach and started really going after just having a better plan and understanding for what it looks like to approach a marathon. It's definitely not just something you can go out and just do without having some knowledge and putting in some time and effort, blood, sweat, and tears, we say. But was just hoping to lower my time. And then when it looked like it was in grasp, got a lot more serious. And so it actually, for me, has turned into 5 marathons to get to this point, which feels like a lot. But people really do try for years to make this, because there is a time requirement. It's based on your age. And then even then, when you reach that, you're not guaranteed that you're in, because they go off of a buffer time. And so it's just a really hard to attain entry. And so I have qualified 5 times. I have only been accepted the last 2 marathons. So I ran one in the spring, felt better about my time. I had about a 5-minute buffer, what that looks like. So for my age group, which is about 5 years, they go up in time by 5 minutes every 5 years. I needed a 3:30 to be able to even enter my time. But historically in years past, there's been anywhere from a 3-minute to a 7-minute buffer, depending on participant size. And so wasn't feeling confident with a 5-minute buffer from last spring. So in September, I went to go a little more aggressive in the marathon that I ran. And then I ran a 3:19 and felt really good about that. You have to enter your time, and then beginning of October they release what the buffer was. And so it was just overjoyed, incredibly thankful, and just super excited to get to experience something at this level.
Yeah, so it sounds like when you first got started into running, it was kind of just something to like stay in shape, continue with athletics, right? But then it turns into competing in marathons. I guess what got you interested in turning that into something more than just going outside for a run every now and then?
Absolutely. I think for me personally, I've always had a plan, right? Having grown up with sports, you've always kind of been pushed by a coach, and it's so fun to see how you can go from point A to point B and just watch your body just change from a commitment and a good plan and being dedicated to something. And so I think it's just been really, really rewarding. I stay home with my kids, and so it's a little bit more of a long time goal with children. And so you don't necessarily get to reap the benefits of your time spent with them daily. We're looking long term as they grow in hopes for just, them to become successful. And so I think this was just something that was a little quicker in getting that instant reward just by being dedicated to something. And then just the high that comes with running is like nothing else that I have felt. So it's a tough sport. It's mentally and emotionally, and definitely, like we all know, physically demanding. But it is a just incredible feeling like none other when you get to experience just reaching that goal and coming to the end of like a training plan for months and months and months, and watching just your body transform. And the part of it that I think has just really blown me away, and just the gals that have really started picking this up too, is just how it's transformative across all aspects of life. And so it really pushes you just to be able to go even deeper into who you are and who you can be in your relationships and work and at home. And it's just, yeah, it's encouraging in all aspects. So you get a little bit of it, and you just want more.
You bet. So when it comes to that training aspect of it, I have to imagine this has been kind of a long process, right? But well, what does the training for a marathon look like for you?
Yep. So, I mean, really, I've been running, like I said, for the last 9 years consistently, besides being pregnant with my kiddos and taking some breaks there. But specifically for this one, I've kind of just built on training blocks. You take some breaks after you run a marathon to let your body recover so you can rebuild. But specifically for Boston, we started about 20 weeks ago, and that was already with somewhat of a base, obviously. And then you just attack it with a plan. Our week kind of looks like one rest day, 6 days on. Tuesdays, we're doing speed work at the track or on hills. And then you have like a midweek long run. Thursdays, we're doing tempo or kind of threshold paces. These are all, running specific words that we've had to educate ourselves with, specifically me, because I did not do track in high school. So this all has kind of been just a new season of life with learning. And I mean, there's tons of information out there. And then thankfully, I am surrounded just by very wise people. And like I said, I've got a really good friend who has coached me these last couple of years. So, and then, strength training in there, we try 2 to 3 times a week. And then on Saturdays, we have like our longest run of the week. So we've come out a little more aggressive in this training block, I'd say, just because Boston is historically known to just be a much harder course than some of the past marathons that I have done.
Yeah, and so looking back to when you found out or that you had qualified for the Boston Marathon, can you just take me back in time to that moment? Just what that meant to you in the moment, what the emotions were when you found out that you got into the Boston Marathon?
Yeah, well, tears, obviously. And I mean, it seems silly, right? Because I am an amateur runner. This is just a hobby. But like I said, it really is so intertwined with so many things. And it's just, personally, I think we should never stop trying to achieve and never stop trying to push ourselves to do hard things in our life. It's so rewarding. So for me, this has been a very sought after goal that really was going to take all of me to get to, because like I said, I was not a runner, specifically for speed. I was a post player in high school. And so I don't necessarily feel like I look like a typical marathon runner. But when I found this out, it just was pure joy. I was ecstatic. And then in that, it's been so incredibly fun to share it with really close friends, and specifically my sister, Michaela, because just being able to know what we both go through to be where we're at, and just to be able to do it together, has just totally made the experience that much more, fulfilling. So lots of tears, lots of joy, and just sat in that for a while before the work had to start again.
Yeah, and in order to accomplish something of this magnitude, I have to imagine there were some challenges and things you had to overcome throughout along the way, right? Anything kind of come to mind as far as some of the biggest things you kind of had to overcome?
Absolutely. So I'm an aging runner, right? Like we all are. We're all getting older. So I've had some breakdowns. I have had to take a couple months just not getting to run, which is really, really hard. Doing some cross training. I've had some high hamstring, just some chronic injury there. I had to work through that a little bit. And just recently, I've had some issues with a knee and my meniscus. And so just a lot of prayers, just really working through what it teaches you when you can't do something that you love, and just a lot of discipline and changing things up, being flexible, and truly just leaning into others. That has been such a gift to me, because it's frustrating when your body breaks down and we don't have control. You can always push harder in a workout when it's just coming to fatigue and that, but when it comes to breakdowns of your body and then having to pull back, that actually is the hardest part. So there have been definitely some instances, even in this training block, that are unexpected, but we have learned, I think this will be my ninth marathon, to kind of expect the unexpected with this, because this is what it is to be human and have a body and have to work through these things. So the prayer always just is to get to that starting line and just to be able to enjoy it as much as we can, but to know that things definitely will bubble up every single time.
So when it comes to running a marathon, any key strategies that you use, like maybe pacing, things like that? Anything come to mind there?
Yep, and lots of learned things, obviously, just having been through, this many by now. Really breaking it down when you sit down and you think about running 26 miles, it feels a little overwhelming, even if you've done it before. And so it comes down to breaking it down into chunks. There's a really sweet book by Ryan Hall. It's called Run the Mile You're In. And that has just been really key in my training. He breaks things down into just different words to focus on, miles 1 through 10, and then up to 15 and up to 20. And then once you're over 21 to 26, you're just giving it all you got to finish that race. And so I think it's important each mile to just think about that mile. And then in the chunks, I think about specific things and how I'm running, how I'm celebrating, what I'm praying about, those specific chunks. And that really gets you through. It makes the time go fast. And I will say it's been true throughout my whole life that I love being with people. That's why I love basketball so much. And so it's been really fun, specifically these last couple marathons that I've run, to find a friend. And so I've met some really, really incredible people that I've run with almost to this last marathon, almost through the entire race. We were similar in the goal we were going after. And so we talked the entire race until the end when you're feeling pretty rotten. But I was thankful to feel good enough to carry on just conversation. You learn a lot about a person in 3 hours. And a gal that I met in last spring is actually running in Boston too. And so we're going to meet up there when we get there. And she lives in Ohio. And so it's just fun to be so tethered with other runners and to have a heart just for the sport, for each other, and for its people. And so, yeah, it's just so much more than the running. It's an incredible aspect, and that's why we're there. But then you get so many benefits from it.
So the marathon itself is going to be Monday, April 20th. So just over a week as we do this interview here on the 10th. Between now and then, what's going to be in store for you in I guess your final stretch of preparation here?
Yep. So we're in taper. It's kind of just named the taper tantrums as we go forward, because you're cutting way back on running, and that feels, which sounds silly, but really hard. So your brain goes through just a lot of different thoughts. I think nerves, worry, all of the feelings that you probably can feel here. But our miles are way less. I'm going to cross train a bit, just trying to get this knee ready. And then next week begins the marathon of eating. And so carb loading is a real thing. And so we start about 3 days ahead of time. And I'm going to be eating way more white bread and bagels and pasta and cereal than you really feel is physically possible. But it really does affect the quality of your racing. And so I've written down a plan just for eating next week. And then obviously packing. Lots of thought goes into, when you're flying to a race, there's so many things you specifically have to bring. Food specific, you're running, we can guess what the weather's going to be like, but we'll be bringing lots of different options. Boston, can start off really cold, can turn really hot. There's been years of just pouring rain. Like we just really don't know what to expect there. So bring all of the familiars and just really focusing and kind of visualizing the race. I think that's really key too, just getting ahead. And the other fun thing is sleep. I really get to prioritize my sleep. So my husband's a huge help here. He takes care of the kids, and I'm really in bed by 7:30 every night.
So when it comes to running the Boston Marathon, what would be some goals that you have for yourself?
Yep. So lots. I think we always have, and I say we because Michaela and I kind of function as one brain these days, just in attacking this race. But personally, for me, you start off with like a plan A. And so I have a time specific goal. I am trying to run my fastest that I've run. And I think it's realistic and just being smart to know I have to have some other plans in there as well, just depending on how your body feels. It is such a big race, and it's dependent on so many things, how you're feeling that day, obviously injuries, weather, and running. You just can't necessarily say 100% you're going to come out with your best day. You can put forth your best effort and have the best training block of your life, and it owes you nothing. So having a couple different ideas there for time goals. Ideally, it's our hope to qualify for Chicago, and so that's a 3:30 entry. And so the biggest goal I have is just to run under that, so that 2027 we could run that together. Um, so yeah, I think the other is just like the heart goals that I'm seeking, and that's just encouraging and celebrating other people to soak this up. This is such an iconic, like prestigious race, and it was so fun to just be standing at two of the spots last year to cheer Michaela on. And so just to experience it from the start to the finish, the crowds, the people, just the energy that's alive there, it's like none other. And so I think just not to miss out on any of those things, just to really store those up in my heart.
All right. Last question for you here today. Any words of advice you'd give to people who are maybe looking to try to do something like this?
Yeah, I'd say do it. Just get out there and run. It is such an incredible thing to A, move your body, B, find people to just enjoy this with, and C, I really think it's possible for everyone if they are dedicated to something. That's the biggest thing. It's just you gotta the buy-in. You've got to buy in. So I mean, we're up. We've started some runs at 3:50 in the morning just to get after the day. You know, I've got three little kids. I work part time, and you just kind of have to change some of your life around if you do want to have some goals. And so I just encourage anyone to get out there and run. I think that it is such a gift to everyone's life, and it'll teach you so many things about yourself. So just go do it.
Is there anything else you'd like to share here today?
I really appreciate just the call and being able to talk about this. I am, like you can tell, really passionate and just excited, and so it's fun anytime I get to talk about running, and fun anytime I get to celebrate. Just Michaela, she's like been a gift in this, and I'm so excited to watch her come out and just crush it this marathon. She ran her personal best last year too, and is hoping to even improve that time. And it's just really amazing because Boston is not typically a place that you can get a personal best on this course. And so just excited. We love Hampton Dumont, and we still have really strong ties to the area. And so anytime that we can just get back and just get around the people that we got to grow up with, we're always grateful and thankful. So really just appreciate people that are willing to tune in and listen today and just care and keep track of us.
All right. Well, that's been Alexa Hoeltermann talking about qualifying for the Boston Marathon. Thank you so much for the time today, and wish you the best luck out in Boston.
Thank you so much.